January 2023, I posted a question and poll on Twitter about whether making videos was fun and or work. Basically an existential crisis of sorts. This tweet was the closest thing to a viral social media post in all my life thus far, as it reached a fair amount of people, most of all who responded, and with some insightful and encouraging words. The poll itself featured a majority vote for hard work, 42.9% from 42 accounts, but the fun option was not far behind at 35.7%. This means that what drives creativity and the creation of content is not only varied from person to person and what they do or make, but also very loosely up to interpretation. The third option, something else, could refer to just about anything. Not long after this post, I talked with my co-founder of the Bug Hug Studios YouTube channel about creativity and motivation as well. We brought up a few questions or ideas which turned into conversation pieces that I'm using here for this different series of content titled The Creative Process. It's what it says on the tin. And this series can be not just about gaming content, but also filmmaking, animation, computer animation or no, music, photography, painting/drawing, acting, writing, anything. They're presented on a variety of platforms, whether it be streams on Twitch or a short form on TikTok. I started this YouTube channel in August 2017, but my creativity is more complex and goes further than that. Hey, enough about myself and this surely sophisticated introduction. This is a collab where I'm not saying, allow me to introduce these people. These are the introductions of 7 other creative personas who have responded to the aforementioned questions with either audio, text, or talking to camera. This first video is about our names, what we create, and who or what inspired us, if at all, to create. Welcome, one and all, to The Creative Process.
Hi Viddy. My channel is A Friend Remembers, or A Friend Recalls, or I often can't remember the title because I just knew that it started with the letter R. I make videos just talking about cool stuff that's nice to recall or remember, or is current and exciting and I've got thoughts on that I want to share. Why do I do it? Well, I started because of the pandemic. Because the thing that I hated was it just became so much harder to go out and talk to people face to face. And so I substituted real life for a YouTube channel that gave me the chance to have all the conversations that I used to have, and probably was me rambling away about stuff I found cool and then pausing and letting another guy ramble about stuff he found cool and some girls ramble on about stuff that they found cool. Conversation is just, bringing things to each other's attention, saying, you should go and look up this. And then when they go around, they come back and go, wow, that's amazing. And they give you their thoughts. And they've taken away something completely different from it than you did. Often, sometimes what you like, no one else does. But sometimes someone else likes it, but what they like about it is so utterly different from what you liked about it that it makes you reevaluate what you discovered. YouTube's a conversation. It's a slow conversation because we're only ever speaking one at a time, except for, well, thank you for letting me just intrude on your space, Viddy.
This is the introduction by Hepso Games, whose content is gaming, of course. Here it is not so much a YouTuber that is the inspiration, but the passion of gaming and wanting to share it on YouTube and so on. This is a platform where, even as an adult gamer, something one could feel, quote, slightly ashamed of, end quote, you can share, quote, thoughts with like-minded folks and create friends who shared the same passion, end quote. Wait, Viddy got created? The confidence in front of a live mic is key.
Hello, my name is James, also known as How to Game Differently, as my internet persona, I suppose. I do video content creating regarding video games, location-based filming, as well as interviews regarding various different topics around gaming and nerd culture and such. I also do a bit of voice acting as well, which I started off doing last year, so I've been on a few projects so far. And the reason I do it all is because it's fun to do. It's a creative way of doing stuff, because it's always great to do something creative with all sorts of things. Inspiration, people have inspired me. Biggest inspiration to me was my friend Hannah, who started doing YouTube during lockdown. Saw her do it and pretty much thought to myself, I've always wanted to do YouTube and that, so if my friend can do it, why can't I do it? So I started doing YouTube as well, and yeah, been great fun ever since.
Hello, the Nintendo Reviewer here, and as my name suggests, I review video games on Nintendo systems. I got into this 10 years ago because while I was looking up reviews of classic games that I was considering purchasing, I found quite a few video reviews of those games being done by regular people. People like the Wii Viewer and CGR Undertow, a channel which ceased production a few years ago. These were people who were not with some big publication like IGN or GameSpot. And since I liked Nintendo games, I thought, hey, I could do this. And I could do this my way and defend a game I really like in the process. By which I mean Star Fox Assault on the GameCube, a game that I feel gets unfairly trashed by mainstream reviewers. I have some other videos on my channel talking about my inspirations and how I keep going, so I'll keep it short for this collaboration.
With the Fun Bros introduction piece here, we're going to explore a little more of a non-gaming side. Writing is also a great creative outlet, and with great inspirations like Raymond Carver, The Lord of the Rings, Catch-22, Post Office, Poetry, and 9 stories written by J.D. Salinger. Wait, a screenplay is in the works, or at least finished? Exciting. Could it be a movie on level with Birdman? That is a great example where the lead character is trying to be creative about a Broadway production being done after portraying a superhero at the end of a fading acting career. I also did movie and TV reviews a long time ago, but mostly not on YouTube. At least there's the game videos and streams. Continuing with the film inspirations, we have Mad Max Fury Road, Dreams, the $/Mad with No Name trilogy, and director George Lucas. In Dreams, an anthology film, the Crow segment is a homage to Vincent van Gogh, who simply says to an observer, "Why aren't you painting?" This was made when Kurosawa was old. In fact, his prior film ran I Saw Myself several years ago. Video games like Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy 4-7, where I've not played 5 yet, are also among my favourites, mostly because of their interesting stories that take risks more than previous game storylines possibly ever could. Wait, thoughts sounding cliche? Well, the creative writing process starts with cliches. Among the countless film inspirations is the last one listed here, Ernest P. Worrell, played by Jim Varney. Oh, so that's where the multiple characters' catchphrases and possibly puns come from. This shows it's, quote, okay to not take things seriously but still be serious about your craft. The Fun Bros have so many thoughts to certain film and video games that they want to share what's in their head to others, end quote. I won't read too much about the last paragraph here, for understandable reasons, other than noting family is an inspiration and encourages us. Now, I should actually watch Dreams, but in the meantime, let's have this paragraph be on screen a minute for you to read.
Hey there, this is the Retro Room, and I'm making this video to help answer Viddy's Gaming Videos Creative Process Ask. He asked that I introduce myself and what I do, so I'll do that briefly as I can. I'm a content creator on YouTube who likes to focus on mostly retro gaming content, though I do have other channels in the works, both published and unpublished, that are working on things like art, card magics, and card cheating, honestly, which is a really fun one, and also working on some other projects on the side. But predominantly, as the Retro Room, we focus on gaming with an emphasis on retro older games. And he asks what or who inspired me and why I create. And the answer for that is I dabble in so many different forms of art or in so many different forms of content creation that I don't just have one inspiration. With the art channel that I'm coming up with, it's because I like to draw and I see things every day that inspire me. The Star Wars content one is just something I was passionate about. I grew up watching episodes 4, 5, and 6 and really just followed down that rabbit hole into the books and into the comic books and into the later movies. And I just really enjoyed getting lost in that universe. If I had to give one overarching answer for all of it, I think that it would go back to my reasoning for getting into the Retro Room and creating it, which is that we were at a place when I created the channel in 2016 that was remarkably divisive. There were a lot of political and religious and public motivations. All of these things were in the public. And the divisiveness, when I would go to work and hear conversations of former friends who had differences of opinions, who would end up in a verbal altercation, it was just, there was no middle ground anymore. There was no room for anyone to just come in, sit down, talk about nonsensical, nothing divisive, things. And so that's why the Retro Room was created and named that way. It's supposed to have been a room where all of your differences that are important to you, something that you would be willing to fight for, that's all left at the door. All of our differences here are creative and fun. If you like Star Trek more than Star Wars, or new games more than retro, that's okay, because those are frivolous, they don't affect us in our everyday lives, and it's a place for that kind of conversation to flourish. I also like the idea of bringing some people's games to the forefront, their retro, their childhoods, as well as my own. I played Pitfall and Atari for the longest time, and a lot of people that are on YouTube now have no idea what any of those things are. They don't know what a NES is or what the Atari was. So it was kind of a way to bring people together, to kind of diffuse tensions that I was seeing, to minimize divisiveness. But it was also something that I wanted to do because it was, if for nothing else, posterity. It was my childhood, and I was getting to live kind of vicariously through my channel. And I've never regretted it. I've always been happy. I'm not ever out there for the views or the subscriptions. And I think that's why I don't demotivate very quickly. If I see a video that I put out there that I've really had a good time with, put my heart and soul into the editing of, then I enjoy the process itself. The editing and the filming, the recording, is so much of a fun artistic expression to me that the fact that 2 or 3 people may be all that see it is not a real big disincentivizing factor for me. I had fun with every step up until that point. I'll continue to enjoy it, and I can go back and watch my efforts if nothing else. It's not necessarily it's for everyone else, but it's not just for everybody else. It's also for me.
Hello and welcome to Tiger Chainsaw. The late night talk show mentioned here finished on March 21st this year with a retrospective on God of War 3. We will talk more about it finishing in the 4th episode of the creative process. Though, seriously, watch that episode and the ones uploaded prior. I recommend it, and that goes for the other gaming videos. Writing and making videos, as shown here, fulfill the need to be creative, perhaps if one is not good at music or art. Somewhat similarly to Hapes, YouTubers won't necessarily be inspiration. However, family who are professional artists are a great inspiration. I think all of us here can relate on being, quote, comfortable enough to be myself and use other outlets for my creativity, end quote. And now for me to answer my own first question for this collaboration. I am, of course, Viddy of Viddy's Gaming Videos, previously named Video Games for Fun. My nickname has been Viddy for as long as I can remember, and when starting content on YouTube, I thought that nickname seemed to sound nice for Video Games, or now Viddyos. The content I make centers on gaming topics such as reviews/first impressions, talking about memories of certain games or related media, game collections, and so on. While the main focus has been on gaming content, I've dabbled in filmmaking since I was a teenager, doing Doctor Who fan films, and still sometimes do filmmaking ideas, almost more of an artistic alternative. My earliest creative inspirations were artists/musicians/filmmakers like Laurie Anderson through her unique music and spoken word pieces, Peter Jackson through the Lord of the Rings films. Then on YouTube, some of the earliest big YouTube names including vloggers, and especially gaming channels that do or did Let's Plays and in-depth gaming discussion, such as those on the Final Fantasy games, were my inspiration. Resonant Arc, previously Dark Pixel Gaming, is one example. We're talking about so much as their first time playing Chrono Trigger was during a time where life, personal or no, was more unpleasant and uncertain, only for said JRPG being not only good escapism, but also an inspiration to take risks and be creative based off the passion of the game's developers. And that's not all. Several channels I watch to this day, including those who follow me and who I've spoken to, you know who you are, still inspire me, and it takes me so much as looking at content from them to remind me of why I do this. I make content simply because when I really get into it, it is one of the most enjoyable and invigorating activities that is a contrast to the more safe and conventional aspects of life. It is also an abstract thing. As we'll see later on in the creative process series, I like thinking abstract, as in shapes or patterns or sounds or themes that could be lacking in order or symmetry. What is seen or heard could be more dreamy or surreal than anything, but it is also in the gaming content that I found it really nice to give structure to my thoughts about one of my favourite pastimes. Speaking of which, a quick credit to Metroid Prime, which changed my thoughts about how games can immerse the player, analysing that my youth led to my reviewing games the way I mostly do today. I also really want to credit my family and friends, and of course those of you who have watched my videos starting either recently or further back, who inspire me and encourage me and support me with this hobby. Now I've introduced everyone and myself, though that surely won't be everyone, I'll explain later. I thought I'd mostly summarise all this, or at least interpret it. First of all of our content primarily is about gaming, no surprises there, but there's more to it than that, in regards to what other content we do or explore and what inspired them. One of the key inspirations is films, from Akira Kurosawa to George Lucas and Peter Jackson to David Lynch, for me, and countless others. There is a sense of the filmmaking craft that has inspired us, even subconsciously. When I started making Doctor Who fan films in 2005, that was almost the equivalent of making a video in the backyard, as many probably started doing during YouTube's early years. Professionalism overcoming that style of filmmaking will be discussed in one of the next videos for the project. The other inspirations were TV shows, books, and of course YouTube channels that we started watching. Vloggers inspired me at first just about talking to a camera and talking about stuff or what's going on, but it shifted to gaming content. Why do we make this content though? Because it's fun to do, because we wanted something to do while the C virus raged on, because we wanted to make something similar to what other people have made, such as Doctor Who, Star Wars, action scene crossovers, including Silver Screen Showdown by the Nintendo reviewer. The list goes on. Also, it is because we want to share our thoughts on gaming and other topics, and have some conversations about them, the wonders of the internet. And even then, some filmmakers, artists, etc. created stuff even as they got older, so you're never too old to do it. Or if you think or wonder if you're not creative, there is a capacity for you to be. Even if it's just a drawing, perhaps done in minutes after a long day of work, there is a creative bone or something in your body. And that brings me on to the rest of you who didn't feature in this collab. No matter if you didn't, the conversations such as your responses to the first question, or what you thought of the introductions presented here, can be done in the comments section below. Or alternatively, and this is mainly for those of you who took an interest but didn't have time or something, or are, say, in the midst of starting a new channel, you can still message your answers to me and I'll feature them in a more simple extra video. But I, Viddy, and the 7 other creative personas are not finished just yet. There are 3 more questions we've answered, and we'll see more discussion next week. Have a good day or night or whatever it is. Now get out there and be creative.